Is global warming an inevitable disaster? Or can we, as a global community, change its course? What is the role of the United Nations? And where do NGOs stand in this fight against climate change? Dive into the past, to the year 1972, when the United Nations held its first major conference on international environmental issues, the United Nations Conference on the Human Environment, also known as the Stockholm Conference. This marked the beginning of the UN's active engagement in global environmental issues. 5 years later, in 1977, the United Nations Environment Programme, or UNEP, launched the Global Environment Monitoring System. This system aimed to provide environmental information to decision-makers at the international, regional, and national levels. Fast forward to 1992, the Earth Summit held in Rio de Janeiro was a landmark event. It resulted in the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, an international environmental treaty aimed at combating climate change by reducing greenhouse gas concentrations in the Earth's atmosphere. In the year 2000, the UN introduced the Millennium Development Goals, which included ensuring environmental sustainability. This marked a shift from not just monitoring and discussing environmental issues, but also setting tangible and measurable goals. The Paris Agreement in 2015 was a significant milestone. This agreement within the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change dealt with greenhouse gas emissions, mitigation, adaptation, and finance, starting in the year 2020. The most recent endeavor, as of 2024, is the UN's Sustainable Development Goals, which include urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts. This shows the UN's continuous and evolving efforts to combat this global issue. Non-governmental organizations, or NGOs, also play a crucial role in the fight against climate change. They work to raise awareness, conduct research, influence policy, and implement projects to mitigate and adapt to climate change. They often work in conjunction with the UN, helping to amplify their efforts and reach. To summarize, the United Nations has played a pivotal role in combating global warming, starting from the Stockholm Conference in 1972 to the establishment of the Global Environment Monitoring System, the Earth Summit, the Millennium Development Goals, the Paris Agreement, and the current Sustainable Development Goals. NGOs complement these efforts, working tirelessly to raise awareness, influence policy, and implement projects. The fight against climate change is a global one, and it requires the united efforts of international bodies, governments, NGOs, and individuals. The question remains, will these combined efforts be enough to change the course of global warming? Only time will tell.